And hello, X-Men fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Zone TV Movie Entertainment with me, your host, Jonathan, once again bringing you my thoughts and review for the brand new season of X-Men 97. That's right, X-Men 97 is officially back, thank goodness, because, Marvel TV has not been, has been away since Daredevil finished, I'm kind of missing it. Now that we got X-Men back, it's good to have it back. A little taste, a little appetizer before we start getting X-Men in the MCU. So, with the fact that they brought back the X-Men 97 and the way that last season ended, whoo! So, before I begin, gotta say, where's our trailer, Marvel? I will continue saying this until Marvel releases the Doomsday trailer. So, if you have not seen this yet, spoilers ahead because honestly, it's already out. Gotta go watch it. There's some great stuff in here. I'm gonna do all 3 episodes in one video, so bear with me. And but I'll break it down each episode. So also a little recap. If you guys remember from last season, the X-Men, they get scattered into different time periods. Some of the X-Men, Professor X, Magneto, Beast, Rogue, and Nightcrawler, they go to the past. And of course, Storm, Jean Grey, Nathan Summers, who's already over there, and of course Cyclops, they all end up in the future. Why? Because they go to different time periods because of the whole thing because of Apocalypse. Apocalypse is basically about to rise, and we get to see different versions of him through his power, his past, and of course his future. Now in the future, Cyclops did put his son Nathan into the future because he had to protect them from Mr. Sinister, and he had to do that, but he also has a destiny to fight Apocalypse and become Cable and all that good stuff. So we start off with the future. We get to see Cyclops and Jean try to teach Nathan how to use his powers, how to be this great, warrior in a way. Basically making him John Connor of the future and have him be the resistance leader that he's supposed to be. Because, we all know Cable. Cable's always been that one resistance fighter who just doesn't quit. He's always going after Apocalypse no matter where he's in. He tries to fight him in every time period. So we get to see that. I thought that was really cool. Just seeing Cyclops become a father. He's already a badass leader, but now he gets to be a father and try to guide his son to be a great leader himself. It's just so cool. And of course, same thing with Jean. Yeah, Jean's technically not really his real mother because that's the clone's son, but she takes him in as his own, and that's her son, and she also trains him to try to focus his power and be all he can be. But when they need to get back home, they need to find a way to get back home. So Forge and Bishop, they decided to go find them, and of course Forge gets there. They do their thing, and we get to see one of the coolest things from Storm I think I've seen since the comics. Storm does an upgrade here, folks, and it's kind of cool. We also get to see the 4 horsemen here because they find a way to, help Apocalypse get a new body because he likes to transfer his consciousness into all the bodies. They try to use it to get to Nathan. So, and of course the X-Men. Oh yeah, by the way, I forgot Wolverine's in the future as well. Bone Claws and everything. He's part of it as well because he lost the metal in his body due to the fact that Magneto ripped it out of him in the last season. So I forgot about Wolverine. He's in there too, being a beast, being a badass as always. Bone Claws and all. It's poetry in motion. It really was cool. And seeing Storm conjure up storms that weren't actually the weather. She was literally conjuring up the damn solar system to conjure storms was so cool to see in this first episode. So I thought that was worked. And seeing Nathan kind of like embrace his powers, embrace the virus that he has. Because remember when he was, he was a baby, Mr. Sinister, put a virus in him. And he's always had that virus for his whole life. So Jean was teaching him how to control that, use that to his advantage, and him becoming who he is. And it's just so cool. We get to see Forge and Storm back together doing their thing, being, I guess, a couple. So that was great. So the first episode was awesome just to see this team, deal with the certain situation that they're in the future. And also make sure it's contained to the future because if they try to, turn Nathan to another direction for his future, he probably won't become Cable in the future that we all know. So, yeah. So we got to see that. And of course, Cable does stay in the past to do his thing. So, I mean, sorry, in the future, do his thing because that's where he's supposed to be. Plus, you bring him back, you never know. Mr. Sinister could come back and just reign terror again. So that was kind of cool. So that was basically the first episode. Very good episode. I enjoyed it. And I like seeing the fact that we get to see what happened to our favorite X-Men, you know, after that whole, you know, explosion that send them to the past and the present and the future. So, you know, so, and also we found out a sorcerer was the one who was able to do that to them because she saw that, seeing that half the X-Men was going to go to the past and half the X-Men was going to go to the future to try to find a way to stop Apocalypse's rise. Which is kind of ironic, the fact that he's already at the point where he's already in power. So being in the future to try to stop him from being in power is kind of crazy. But I guess maybe back, you know, in that time period, that future has yet to be. If you can change that future, maybe the future where Apocalypse really reigns doesn't exist. So I guess that's the mentality of it. So that's kind of interesting. So that's kind of cool. So now we get to episode 2. Episode 2, we get to see Cable, you know, adult Cable doing his thing. He's ready to find a way to finally stop Apocalypse, but he needs some help. He has Archangel with him, and he has Psylocke as well. But he needs to go back to the 1990s and get Jubilee, of all people, and Sunspot as well. Sunspot, you know, he's kind of attached to Jubilee. They're kind of together, so makes sense that, you know, he's kind of the package deal to show up. So they go to the 90s, they recruit them, and of course, X-Force ends up have to deal with, you know, they try to find one of Apocalypse's horsemen back then, and that was War, to see where he's up to see why Apocalypse is kind of being dormant right now before he unleashes his wrath. So, you know, they try to figure out a way to stop him. But then, of course, X-Factor shows up. Yeah, you guys know X-Factor. If you guys don't know X-Factor, X-Factor is pretty much the government version of the X-Men that kind of, you know, helps the government take down mutants and, of course, even humans who may or may not be aboard what the government wants against the mutant, you know, issue, if you will. So we get to see X-Force and X-Factor fight each other. So that was kind of cool. And just to see Jubilee finally get some recognition in here was kind of great. I've always loved Jubilee in the cartoons, in the comics. She's great. But honestly, it's time for her to get some cool loving in the movies, man. Seriously, every time we see Jubilee in any of the X-Men movies, she's always just a background character. Do a couple of sparkly things here and there, and that's it. So it was kind of cool to see her shine in this episode. So I thought that was really great. And, you know, and they also was able to save some kids from the X-Factor who was captured because, you know, they wouldn't comply. You know, they want to detain mutants to, you know, rehabilitate them. So, you know, we get to see that. We also got to see Polaris be a part of X-Factor. That was great, too. The scene Polaris is cool. If you don't know who Polaris is, she's the sister of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver and some iterations. So, yeah, that's great. She also has the power of magnetism as well. So, yeah, she is the real daughter of Magneto also, you know, like Scarlet Witch is. But you know what? Sometimes they always change. Scarlet Witch is not, is. So, yeah. Same thing with Quicksilver as well. But we don't see them. We just see Polaris and X-Factor as well. Wolfsbane, I believe the character's name is. And I forgot the other character's name. But anyway, great episode as well. Another great episode. I love how they made Jubilee a main focus here, showing her powers a lot more, her embracing them now, instead of just trying to be like, yeah, she may be a kid, but sometimes she has to step up to be like this great, like, kind of leader in a way, because she's been there. She's been part of the foster care. Nobody wanted her, you know, because they didn't understand her powers, and, you know, and then the X-Men took her in. Now the X-Men's kind of gone because she thinks they're dead, but she doesn't know they went to the past and the future, so she has to kind of step up, and helping Cable out is kind of cool. So we'll see what Cable and the team could do with the, you know, in the past or present version of trying to find a way to stop Apocalypse. So that's great. So now we get to episode 3. And episode 3 might be the most interesting episode of all 3 of them so far, because it's 3 episodes. So now we get to the past. Now we're in the past, 3000 BC, I believe. And this is during Apocalypse's trying to become king of, Egypt and all that stuff. So you have Magneto, Professor X, Nightcrawler, Beast, and Rogue. They're stuck in the past. They need to find a way to get down and get back home. But you see Magneto in this episode, he gets to try to find a way to convince Sabanur to, yeah, you're the first mutant, but you can lead. You can be a leader that everybody can look up to, and show the humans that, yeah, mutants and humans can work together, like Charles' vision, but in the past. And if that helps, maybe Apocalypse doesn't become a bad guy in the future. Maybe he becomes a peace guy, So they're trying to work that way. However, they got a little problem when they have to deal with the Pharaoh of this time period. And the Pharaoh ends up being Rattata. If you don't know who that is, in the comics, sometimes Rattata is also known as Kang the Conqueror. Yes, Kang the Conqueror. As in Marvel tried to make Kang the Conqueror. Yeah, him. Yeah, in the past. We've seen his version in the MCU in the post-credit scene of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So we do know he does have that past version. So are they actually going to say that he is Kang the Conqueror? We do get to see Charles go into one of his disciples' mind and try to go into like what's the secret of the Pharaoh, and couldn't work. So it could be Kang, maybe it's not, but normally I believe it is Kang. So that's kind of cool that they're bringing in Kang the Conqueror here, which I think it makes more sense for the X-Men to cross paths with him first and then lead into him. Okay, I couldn't beat the X-Men, but if I can beat the Avengers, none of this nonsense happens. So I think that they should have done that first, save Kang the Conqueror for an X-Men project. But that's just Marvel being Marvel. But anyway, hopefully they bring him back one day. But yeah, that was another great episode. You can just clearly in this episode see Magneto try as much as he can. He feels guilty for what happened to Genosha, which was the planet-sized thing that he had for, his sanctuary for mutants. When that got destroyed, he felt guilty. He lost a lot of people there. He did some stupid things when it comes to the X-Men as well, and Charles. So, we got to see all that kind of into fruition. And, it was one of those situations where, can Magneto change Apocalypse? I mean, you can clearly tell a little bit that there were some moments in this episode, maybe Apocalypse will change. Maybe he will be a force for good, So, who knows? Give me 1 second, hold on. I need to charge my stand here. Sorry, guys. There you go. So, Magneto just trying to find a way to, change him for the better. Or to serve his own purpose, So, because Magneto always has this weird trick up his sleeve. Like, he'll do something good, but for his own benefit, So, it's kind of one of those 50-50 shots. It's like, is Magneto actually helping the cause, or is he really going to make it worse? So, but, it's kind of cool. But then when Sabanur finds out that they were trying to use Rattata's technology to get back home, he kind of gets upset, thinking that he's betraying them, thinking that, oh yeah, you're not it's a false prophecy and all that nonsense. And we just get to see Apocalypse and his team go at it with the X-Men. And then of course Bishop shows up, which was awesome. That was some cool stuff to see. And just there's a moment in this episode where you see, in episode 3, where you see Beast is like struggling. He's like, I don't get this technology. Like, why is this technology here yet it's not advanced enough for us to power up this machine so we can get back home? But of course, Bishop shows up. He's like, hey guys, here's some Apple Watches, and then it's like, go back home. It's that simple, very that simple. But okay, I'll take that. But yeah, I think it's kind of cool. And listen, if they actually are gonna fight, not only Apocalypse, but I hope they fight Kang the Conqueror too. I think, as much as I love Apocalypse, I kind of want to see X-Men fight other villains. As much as I love them, kind of, I don't want to say recycle the same stuff that they already used from the original 90s show, in a new way, in a new twisted version of it, because we've already seen Apocalypse in the cartoon before. So seeing him again is kind of at the point I'm like, okay, Okay, they already fought Apocalypse. Can't they just fight him again and deal with him like they did the last time? But whatever. Even if they go back in the past, present, or future, he's still the same Apocalypse. There's no way they can change him. So I just hope that in this season we get to see other villains pop ups like Ratatouille, because he is Kang the Conqueror. Characters like him, anybody else, like go to the Savage Lands, do something there. Fight Mr. Sinister again, even though we've seen him about 1,000 times as well. Or who's left? I don't even remember. Dark Phoenix could become a possibility. I wouldn't be surprised if Dark Phoenix shows up at the end of this to set up season 3. But yeah, it's my only real wish that this season does is that they don't drag. I know they're gonna do it, but I just don't want it to be this whole season's all about Apocalypse, because we've seen it. And I love Apocalypse. He's a great villain. He's fantastic. Age of Apocalypse is a great comic book. If you never read it, go read it. But it's time to move on a little bit, We've seen the 90s. It's like if they brought back the 90s Spider-Man and all he's fighting is Venom and Green Goblin. Yes, his Rogues Gallery, and I get that. But change it up a little bit, Just a little bit. You can keep them there, but just change a little bit. Either way, I thought this season is a great start, and I'm excited to see the rest. And, this is me nitpicking about, why they have to fight Apocalypse again, even though they've fought him about 1,000,000,000 times already. But, that's just about a little nitpick because, I kind of want to see other characters. I wouldn't mind them cracking the Dark Phoenix saga again, even though that was like a 5-part saga. Do that again. Do it way better. See what you can do. But, I like how this is a kind of a reboot, but not kind of a reboot. Continuing. That make any sense? It's like a reboot, continuation. Because the way the X-Men in the last season, the original season ended was wasn't it the Dark Phoenix? I think it was a Dark Phoenix. It was either Dark Phoenix or Apocalypse, one of them. And yeah, Apocalypse has always been there. So yeah, and of course Mr. Sinister. So I hope we get to see other X-Men villains, because there are a lot of different X-Men mutants out there that they can fight and deal with. Bring in if you want to, bring in some of the Avenger villains to fight them. I think that'd be kind of cool. But either way, still, I'm very excited to see the rest of the season. I'm just glad it's back. So leave me a comment below. Let me know what you guys thought about these 3 episodes, and which one was your favorite so far. Mine's, I think I'll go episode 2 first, and then 3, and then 1. Only because I really wanted them to flush out Jubilee better. Not that she's never great in the cartoon. She's always been great, but it gives me hope for the future for her character in the MCU live action, that they can finally make her a real character moving forward, because I'm a little tired of just seeing her being that, hey guys, I do sparkly tricks with my fingers in the background, So I want her to be a real player in the game. So hopefully this show, and if people love Jubilee, they can finally give us Jubilee in the damn live action the way she deserves. So leave a comment below, let me know. Stay tuned for more. Thank you very much, and have a good day.